Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Molly. Hi, Molly. How is everyone today? Welcome to the Back Gardens tour of July 2021 here at Stacy's Art Studio and Gardens Naturals. The backyard has the most work left to do, and it has been, of course, the most work to do because it is a large space. It has come a huge long way. I'm going to be doing some before and after pictures pretty soon, to the point that we're at. But just this month alone, there's been a lot of stuff going on. For example, this space here. So when I first, started in here, I moved all the gravel stone that was here in the, where's now the grass area. I moved it all to the middle, and same from the side, all to the middle, so that I would have planting areas. I pulled up the weed barrier. I pulled out the weeds because weeds actually grow on top of the weed barrier here because seeds just fall in it, and that's what happens. I do have weed barrier, a couple of them here underneath this gravel, but weeds still grow up through it. So, or not through it, but actually on top of it. So I have to stay on top of that. But so what I've been doing lately, and if you saw the last video, you didn't see this gravel. So I've been reworking the pathways here. I took out all that Mexican feather grass that was crazy back there. And boy, that's made a big difference. I loved that stuff, to be honest. I really loved it, but it was just out of control. So I replaced it with other feathery things that will not spread seed all over the place. So I've been putting in more grasses everywhere, a little addicted to the grasses. But I like how it looks around the little fountains. So these, I had the one that's in the middle there. I had that last year down here. So this year I was able to add these other two so that I can kind of create this little water effect here without using too much water. And I've got the gravel around here so far, and I still need to go up that place there. And I'm going to be reworking. This pathway is going to go ahead and be gravel through here, and I'm doing a planter area there in the dirt. I've moved the bench. It used to be against the house, but you haven't seen it in a while because it was covered in boxes and things from all the construction that we've been doing, but I really love the bench there. So I think that's going to be its new permanent home. And then I moved the Adirondack chairs over here in this little shaded space, and I really enjoy that. I actually do get out there, maybe once a week, and just sit and enjoy the gardens. The plantain is doing really well. I just harvested because it jumped over here, and I just harvested a bunch of that. I just tear it off like lettuce or spinach. I tear leaves off of it, and then it's already, I just harvested, and it's already got new leaves in there again. And then these are the original plants. Now, so a really great friend of mine gave me one of her plants of plantain, and she carefully, put it in a pot and nurtured it and gave me that. And from that, I have all of this plantain here and all of that plantain there. And sadly, hers died out. So I am now carefully, I put in one of the plants in this pot, and I'm nurturing it, and I'm hoping that it's going to be okay. I'm waiting a little bit longer. I see that it's hanging in there, and I will be giving her back a plant. And that's the wonderful thing about gardening, isn't it? we can continue these things going on and on even when one of our plants no longer works. Our roses are doing really quite well. They're not burning up right now, which is really great. I'm really happy when they don't burn up. Of course, I'm sure the humidity has helped them. The other plants it's been hard on, but And here you can see one of the places where it got too hot and it just dried up right on the bush there. And then the muscadine's doing really well. So I thought I would mention, so the bottom of this pot has a big hole in it so that the roots can go through into the ground below. It's really grown. It needs to be pulled up to, be trained to go up that post. And same with the one over here. This one is climbing better. And it actually does have some muscadines on it. I don't think we'll have a big harvest, but it will be our first harvest from that. So I'm really pleased with that. I moved my composters over here because they're not super beautiful. They're not ugly, but they're not beautiful. So I thought this is actually a perfect place for them. And I have been really bad at composting this year, so I'm gonna get back on it. I'll get moving again. And this tree, look it's just lovely. Love the tree. And the aspen trees here are the ones on the right are doing really well. The one on the left has got quite a bit of burned leaves. They've done much better this year than ever as far as getting burned leaves from the heat. That Leland cypress tree back there helps cool it for them. And then we've got the raspberry bush back here. And I'm really proud of the fact that I've been able to get it to grow, because years and years and years I've tried. But I have to admit defeat. It is not producing, and it is not lack of water that the leaves get burned up like this. It's just the heat. It really just shouldn't live here, and I shouldn't have tried. So this winter I'm going to be pulling that up, and I think I'll be replacing it with grapes, because grapes grow really well here. And sometimes I do try to do things that really shouldn't be here. I normally really focus on what grows well here. This vine here, this is watermelon. They grow great here. This squash, isn't it gorgeous? I just love squash blossoms. They're so pretty. They grow well here, and we're starting to see some squash starting to grow there. The corn does pretty well here. It does need more attention than others, and it's looking pretty good. I did put it in late, so we're going to have a late harvest. That's okay. And then over here, this is the piece that I still need to get under control. Up here, this back space where I got all that Mexican feathergrass out of, I'm not going to do much more to this year because I have enough projects. I believe that this walkway area is going to be a next year project. I am going to put in a couple of nice, the red fountain grass or the purple fountain grass along the wall here, so that we have something pretty to look at during the winter. But I think I'm going to simplify this, and I think I will be laying weed barrier and gravel, just because it's not an easy area to get to add any more gardening type plants, any more herbs as far as harvesting and taking care of. We've got the apple tree here, the big peach tree down in that section, and then the semi-dwarf peach tree, and then another apple tree. So I feel like that's quite enough for this area. And our apples are growing. They're getting a little bigger. Anyway, I just like apple trees. I think they're pretty. I have added more pots this month. Put in some here along this step-up area. And now these flowers that I have in shade actually do well in shade here. Here when you get a flower and it says full sun, really doesn't work. They have to have some shade. There are some flowers that do okay in full sun, but most of them need partial shade. So I'm perfectly fine with putting them where there's partial shade. So these are the pampas grass that I put in to replace the Mexican feather grass. And they're kind of pitiful this year, but next year they should get really huge. In fact, I think they'll probably get too huge, and eventually I'll take one of them out because one will end up getting large enough for that space. But I put it in there for now, and just for the hubby. And we've got some peaches, if you can see on this tree. This tree, it's interesting, it forms peaches later than this tree. This tree is early, and this tree is much later, and then it takes a really long time for them to ripen. And they taste different than this tree. It's fascinating. But this is a semi-dwarf that is, well, it's organic, and it came specifically really for our area that we live in. So I'm really happy with it. And then this is the Honeycrisp tree, apple tree, which doesn't have apples yet. I'm trying to remember, I think it's 3 more years before we see apples on that one. But it's looking really healthy this year. I wasn't so sure about it last year, so I'm really happy with that. And then back here, these aspen trees have just been fabulous. They've really liked their spot. And the little Leland cypress is taking a while, but it is doing pretty well back there. It's not nearly as big as its counterpart on the other corner, and we planted them at the same time. But this corner has been difficult to grow things in, but they are coming around and they're looking fabulous. So all that work I did, I put lots of mushroom compost in there. I put a whole bunch of hay in there and then compost in there. And clearly I need to weed eat around there, but you know, there's always something that we have to take care of. All right, here we have our tomato jungle, and it is starting to turn into a jungle. And we've got some tomatoes growing, and we've got some cherry tomatoes in there. So that's doing well. I have made a couple of what I would call rookie mistakes this year, but thankfully tomatoes are quite forgiving and they have survived it all. I have accidentally topped a couple of plants, so they're not going to get any taller. I didn't stake them well enough when they were young, so they've got pretty bendy bottom stalks, but they're looking really good, and they're about to produce a lot. I put less plants in here than I did last year because it really got out of control last year. So I'm happy with that. I just put them in a little late. So again, we're having a little bit late harvest. I moved the potato bags over here, and they've been doing pretty well. They're looking a little pale, so I need to mound up the dirt in there again, and then we'll see. You know, they are blooming, so they could be coming into, you know, providing potatoes. I'm not sure. Thankfully, it has that little flap on the bottom, so I'll be checking pretty soon. But you know, you got to wait until the plant pretty much, you know, topples over. As far as I know, I have not been successful in growing potatoes, so we're gonna find out this year. And then I put I had a shelf put in the back there, so I have a little potting shelf. I really love that. And then we have melon coming out of our ears again. I planted those a little late, so we're gonna have a late harvest. I hope. They're blooming like crazy, so I'm hoping we'll be seeing some melons very soon. And do you see the saffron? These are the seeds that are from the Corrales. They're called the Corrales saffron, which I got from Baker Seed Company. And the seeds came from Corrales, which is right near here. So I was like, that's what I just gonna have to buy those. I need to harvest some of that because you can see the flowers on some of them are starting to droop. So I need to harvest a little bit. But they're just beautiful and bright and lovely. I got a few plants in these pots. I would like them to be year round. I don't want to have to keep replanting these pots, but we're gonna see. So that's an experiment. This is that purple fountain grass. And then back here we've got some sunflowers, because you know I have to have some around. And the strawberry bed is looking really good. They only produced once. These are ever-bearing, but they're new, so it's normal for them to only produce once. In fact, I need to get in there and start cutting off some of the runners to preserve all the energy in the original plant. And then this winter we will cover this in mulch, and then they'll pop back up in the spring, and hopefully I won't have to redo this bed again, so that we will have continual strawberries. And then here's more potato bags. I like them there. And then there's a sweet Molly right there. Hey, sweet Molly, how are you? And of course we've got the big mess there. It's slowly, dwindling. I'm getting rid of, and we're using things for our build over here. So it's slowly getting a little better. I still have to work on this decking. I haven't finished that, but we've been working on the building so much, I kind of decided I would wait. The decking over here I did stain since the last time you saw us, because the deck sealer that I put on this held up pretty well, but not all year. So the sun here is pretty harsh. So I went ahead and did the dark stain over there, and it's got a lot. It's great. So I'm really happy that the decking itself has managed to do well. This is I can't remember. Is it the second or third? It might be the third year that we've had it in, and it's held up really well. It just needed stained. Okay, let's look at our build, huh? Okay, it's coming along. It is slow. We keep having a lot of issues, just stuff that we can't control, cars breaking down, animals getting sick, just issues. So that means it's slow, but we do have some walls formed back here. I love the shape of this dormer that's creating in here, and we've got another wall about ready. I've got to paint it, and we've got to add a little more material to it, and then we can put another section of that wall up. And of course this is only getting to the point of actually just closing it in. We aren't talking about roofing yet, or insulation, interior walls. All of that is still got a ways, but our goal is to just get it finished, framed, and closed in, and the roof done. Then we can work from there. But that's the goal at the moment. But I am really hopeful. I think it's going to be a really great working space. It's taking much more time than I expected, but that's how it is with any project, isn't it? Costs more, takes longer. And we've had other things happen where I added the dormer. So, I added some complications for my guy. And let's see, I moved the little bistro set right here because now I like looking out of my window. It's starting to look better. The other place that we still have to work on is the sand pit there. That's one of the last corners that I haven't touched since moving in. So we still have quite a ways to go. Let's see, let me walk over here. And, we took on that building project not expecting to. That was kind of a surprise. We need to do this because the little business grew, and thank you guys. I really appreciate that because I get to do what I love, and I get to share with you love and goodies from my garden to you. So I wanted to walk back here and have a look. Do you see? It's a really pretty building. I added the dormer, and I'm really glad I did because that's going to add some nice space inside. So it was worth a little extra work. I believe I'll be putting a little window there at the top of the dormer. And, the footprint is still smaller than regulation for a backyard build. And the height is still smaller than regulation for a backyard build. So I'm excited. It's probably gonna take until we're probably not going to get in until winter, to be honest. I might be getting the studio in winter. I'm not sure. I know that we're going to get closer by winter, but because of life complications, I'm not sure. It tends to just, my guy, he was in a car accident, and then he had car problems, and he's had other kind of things happen that none of us could expect, and same with us. We've had issues that we couldn't expect, so we've had to continually make adjustments, and that's how life is. And when you're doing like a big project like this, it can really have a big effect on it. And that's just how it goes. So like for today, we thought we would be getting back to work, but we had animal issues come up, and our pets, of course, have priority. Our children have priority. Our own health has priority. So we take these into account, and we're grateful for the progress that we make. I hope you're all having a really beautiful day out there, and I'm sending love to all of you. Have a great day. Bye.